Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unido's webinar outreach program. If you can hear and see us, this means that we're doing pretty good in terms of technology, as we should, and so are you. So please enter your name and your country of nationality in the chat box. Again, if you can hear and see us right now, enter your name and your country of nationality in the chat box. Please note that we do have this chat box available for you to engage with us during the presentation, but we also have the feature Q&A on the top middle of the browser, of the MS Teams browser, where you can ask questions throughout the presentation, but hopefully save them towards the end of the presentation. It is 12:03 Vienna time, and we know that all of you and a lot of you are reaching out to us via many locations across the globe. We are very much appreciative of your time. We know that you have the options to apply anywhere, and therefore we very much appreciate your desire to learn a little more about Unido, particularly about AI, digitalization, and innovation at this organization. We have a very special presentation today. We have AI, innovation, and digitalization experts from Unido, from outside Unido, who joined us recently, as well as our recruiter for this portfolio, who will elaborate a lot on what we do, how we do it, and why you should join us should you have a fitting background. I am going to pass the floor to my colleague Esther, who is the recruiter, and she works closely with me supporting this portfolio. And we do hope that you enjoy this presentation, and we'll see you soon. Take it up, Pastor.
Thank you, Gustavo. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unido's special presentation on driving industrial development with AI, digitalization, and innovation. This event is being held by the Division of Human Resource Management to support promoting Unido as an employer of choice to potential applicants from across the globe. If you can hear us and see us, please enter your name and your country of nationality in the chat box. This is the same chat box you can use later to ask questions of your speakers. Please find some useful information as you join us online. The first one would be audio video. Your microphone and camera will be muted upon entry. Only presenters can use audio and video. Submit your questions via the question and answer panel. Questions will be addressed during the Q&A session later. Use also the chat feature for technical issues or general comments. Our support team is available to assist you if necessary. Use the raise hand feature if you need to speak. The moderator will unmute you when it's your turn. Participate in polls or survey by following on-screen instructions. After the webinar, a recording will be available for you. You will receive an email with the link. Please fill out the feedback form shared at the end of the session. This would be important to us. Now, let's move forward to meet our speakers. My name is Esther Desalegn. I'm Human Resource Officer in the Talent Planning and Acquisition units at Unido. The next one, Wernhard.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Wernhard. I'm a digital transformation strategy expert from Austria in the Division of Digital Transformation and Artificial Intelligence.
Next one.
Hi everyone. Hi, Adnan speaking here from the same division, and I'm the head of Innovation Lab here at Unido.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Vanja, and I'm communication and partnership expert, as well part of the same division of AI, innovation and digitalization. Over to you, Jason.
Hi, good morning, good day. Wonderful to see so many people have joined us from so many different countries. My name is Jason Slater. I'm the Chief of the Division for Artificial Intelligence, Innovation and Digitalization, and looking forward to having this conversation with you all today. Thank you.
Many thanks to all of you today for engaging with our audiences from across the globe. Our agenda today will cover the following topics. On Unido, what we do and who we serve. Our speakers, then why artificial intelligence, AI, digitalization, and innovation at Unido. Then we move to current and upcoming projects. A few career tips will also be available. Then we will move to question and answer session. Our mandates, our vision, and our work. Unido is a specialized agency of the United Nations with the unique mandates to promote, dynamize, and accelerate industrial development. Our mandate is reflected in Sustainable Development Goal SDG 9, which is build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. But as you can see on the slide, Unido's activities contribute to all the SDGs. Unido's vision is a world without poverty and hunger, where industry drives low-emission economies, improves living standards, and preserves the livable environment for present and future generations, leaving no one behind. We provide support to 173 member states through 4 mandated functions. These are technical cooperation, action-oriented research and policy advisory services, normative standard-related activities, and fostering partnerships for knowledge and technology transfer. For more information on what we do, check out the Industrial Development Report issued last year and visit our website at unido.org. We currently have 3 main priorities under our current Director General, Mr. Gerhard Müller. One is clean energy, climate action, and green growth. But what does it mean in practicality? It means that Unido promotes policies, technologies, and practices to reduce industrial greenhouse emissions. Why do we do this? That, among many obvious reasons, climate action can create millions of new, decent jobs. Another priority is to end hunger through innovation and local value addition. What does that mean in practice? We share knowledge and technology to help reduce post-harvest losses and increase food security. Besides the benefits to people across the globe, we also know that agribusiness generates job opportunities for young people. Our third main priority is fair and sustainable supply chains. In practice, we support fair and responsible local industrial production and trade. Supply chains are essential to trade and for job creation. To learn more about Unido, visit our main page at unido.org. Now, let's get to meet our speakers a little more. Okay, the first speaker you want to meet would be Mr. Wernhard Berger. Over to you, Wernhard.
It might be Jason who opens the floor. Handing the ball back to Jason.
Thank you, Wernhard. Good. We're being agile, which is one of the key skills that we're going to need in the team going forward. So again, good day to everybody. Thank you again for joining us. So my name is Jason Slater. As I mentioned, I'm the chief of this new division. I've been in this role now for around 3 months. So my role here is to oversee projects and programs that are related to AI, digital transformation, innovation. I have a very specific focus on how we can have an inclusive digital economy. For this, I'm co-leading a UN-wide effort under the Global Digital Compact on objective number 2, which is aims to advance inclusive and sustainable digital transformation. Before I was in this role, I also looked after the spearheading the organizational digital and transformation initiatives and driving innovation solutions. I think that what I bring to the role is that I've got a good way of optimizing service delivery through digital solutions, ensuring collaboration, especially building up ecosystems with our stakeholders. Before I was here at Unido, and I've been in this organization for over 20 years. As you can see, I'm British. I'm from the north of England, from Manchester. And I've had a number of roles in IT, strategic financial management, business transformation and communications. But specifically, I was operating as a business systems consultant. The reason I joined Unido was because they were my clients, and that's why I was so excited to have that opportunity when I was working for Unit 4, as it's now known. And before that, I worked in the nuclear industry in finance and financial systems in British nuclear fuels. In terms of qualifications and skills that I bring to this role, I am a chartered management accountant. I do hold an MBA in financial management and business transformation. And I'd like to think my mantra would be digital and innovation solutions don't just revolutionize industries and manufacturing, they have the power to transform lives. And thank you very much. And handing over or passing the ball on to the next speaker.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jason. We move now to the next speaker.
Sorry. My apologies.
It's okay. You can carry on, Jason, with your part.
No, thank you very much, Esther. Before I hand over to Adnan, just maybe I should just give a few words about what it is that we're doing here. So one of the initiatives that I've been spearheading here with the team is bringing in a new transformation framework within this team. So I will just give you a few headlines on this, not all in too much detail, but as mentioned, we really need to see how AI innovation and digital can help transform lives. So most of you who are in this, who've got the skills and working in this area, is that this is very much a cross-cutting initiative. And really the way that we see ourselves going forward in this area is how can we spearhead thought leadership? Adnan's going to talk more about that in a few minutes. And normative leadership. So for example, I mentioned here that we are working across the entire UN system with all of our stakeholders, private sector, academia, think tanks, on how can we spearhead inclusive and sustainable digital economy. In doing this, what's absolutely fundamental, and these are some of the key skills that we'll be looking for people who are joining the team, how can we be not only identified, but be ahead of the trends that's coming? Right now, as we all know, AI is absolutely disrupting the way that we work, whether that's through ChatGPT, Copilot, DeepSeek, etc. But more importantly, how is AI influencing industry? How can we infuse industrial business processes with AI so that we can then understand better how to increase productivity, mitigate issues such as climate change, etc., and what have you? So thought and normative leadership in this role of AI innovation and digital is absolutely critical for Unido as an organization going forward. In order to do that, one of the key areas that we do is we really use Unido to leverage ecosystems. We've got within our ecosystem, I would say over 200 partners of from the private sector. Excuse me, somebody's calling me. We have got key players from the private sector. So, for example, we're working with Huawei, Google, OpenAI, NVIDIA, Deloitte, Siemens, etc., because if you want to stay ahead and you want to understand what the key trends are, one has to collaborate very, very closely with the private sector. So that's one of the areas that we are also prioritizing, not only private, but also working with academia. VU here in Austria, Tsinghua, BIT, Oxford, Cambridge, many other academia to ensure that we understand what is coming up through research and development. And in order to do this, we're bringing together a body known as AIM Global. It's an alliance where everybody comes so that we can facilitate these high-level advisory discussions in the area of AI-driven industrial transformation. Last but not least, it is one thing to be thought leadership, also to convene. We've also got to implement. We've got to support our 172 member states. And by doing that, what we do as a team, we build up projects and programs, a portfolio. And I just will give you a few highlights there. So for example, we have AI for industry. How can we infuse AI in our projects and programs? For example, and Wernhard will talk about this in a minute or two, how can AI digitalization help the coffee value chain? On the next one, innovation in industry. Adnan's going to talk to you about it's essential when you're identifying innovation startups that you enable them to scale up. How? He'll explain to you. And last but not least, we still have to ensure that we build up new projects and programs in the area of digital economy and transformation. What do I mean by that? Smart manufacturing. How can we help our developing countries? And we've got examples already going on in Ethiopia, Morocco, Tunisia, China, etc., Belarus, in terms of bringing to them the latest technology that they can then learn from, upskill, and look to see how they can deploy those within their own, within those countries. So these are the three key areas that we have within the vision going forward. It's only 3 months old. So it's still a little bit bumpy. It still needs to be fine-tuned on an agile basis. But what I hopefully will achieve through this and the team is how can we build up this multi-stakeholder collaboration? Everybody knows that we need that in order to achieve the SDGs, and digital is fundamental for accelerating it. How can we empower startups, small, medium enterprises through Centre of Excellences? Importantly, one of the key challenges I see for us as an organization in general is what do we do in terms of digital skills for the future of industrialization? This is absolutely critical. And last but not least, how do we support digital public infrastructure and supply chains that need to be in place? So very briefly, this is the new vision for this division. This will then lead into the conversations we go through. You'll get good examples from Adnan, Wernhard, Vanja, and then what types of skills are we looking for going forward. Thank you very much, Esther. And I now hand over the ball to Adnan. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jason. That was very crisp and very relevant. Now we move to the next speaker. Adnan, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Esther. Hi, everyone. Pleased to be online with you. I wish we could do these things in person, in fact. My name is Adnan. I'm the head of the Innovation Lab here at Unido. I've been around for quite a while. It's my 15th year at Unido. I started out as a young professional back in 2009. And before I maybe go into details as to my career path at Unido, let me just also briefly give you a bit of a background as to what I've done prior to the organization. So I've started out in academia, did my master's and then a PhD degree at the University of St Andrews in Scotland, where I studied international economics, in particular trade and investment. So I specialized in the space of, or in that area. Taught also at the university for a number of years before then transitioning into the multilateral space, starting out with the OECD. And then in particular, I worked on investment-related issues for 2.5 years, largely leading some of the applied policy research that the OECD at that time was offering to non-OECD member states, meaning I was focusing on emerging markets, including the Western Balkans at that time, but then also going beyond into the MENA region and Southeast Asia. And then from the OECD, as I got slightly saturated, let's say, with drafting papers and talking policy, I wanted to experience something more hands-on. The opportunity came up at Unido through the Young Professional Program, and I was fortunate enough to be selected as one of the 10 who came in during that period into the organization, starting out in our technical assistance branch, which is the main part of the organization, working on topics of private sector development, trade capacity building for nearly 6 years, growing into a role of a program manager or project or program manager, and having a portfolio of nearly 30 countries over those 6 years, where I've been delivering together with the team, of course, technical assistance services to the governments and the private sector. From there on, I moved to our policy and research division, where I was then responsible for managing research in the area of trade and investment, focused a lot on the topics of global value chains or global supply chains, and foreign direct investments. And then with the new administration that came in 4 years ago, I was then tasked with developing the Innovation Lab, which then graduated out of the Office of the Director General into the organization, and since a few months became officially part of the new division that you are listening in here today. Last but not least, the affiliation with the Kiel Institute, which I greatly value, because that, say, policy research part of me never left wherever I was in the organization. And so I've been shortlisted or asked, in fact, to join the Institute as an external fellow, based on the work that we have done over the years with Institute or with the IFW, but also with other institutes in the space of policy research for development. And this is something that I've been trying to build in the work that I've been doing throughout, including now the work that we are starting on thought leadership, and I'm going to be happy to speak a bit more about that. Maybe just to wrap up my introduction, and mindful that I also have to briefly introduce some of the work I'm currently looking into. Jason was already alluding to the work that we do here at Unido, in particular when it comes to also supporting private sector. And so ScaleX is a new initiative, still in, as we say, stealth mode. You will not find much about it online, because we are, in fact, developing the program as we speak, but at the same time also running initial program components together with the partners, where we are collecting knowledge and insights on what works, what doesn't, before we launch it later this year officially. Now, in a nutshell, what the program is really about, it's an open innovation platform, not the first, not the last of this type in the system we're operating in. But what is very different here, I would say, is that we go beyond purely identifying innovative solutions coming out of the private sector through innovation challenges, but to also actually offer a full range of services to startups and scale-ups that have the potential to move the needle on the SDGs, right? And so what we are trying to do through the program is really put the private sector in the driver's seat when it comes to development. That has not always been the case. For a long time, there's been quite a bit of a trade-off, if you like, between development mandates and private sector objectives. But over time came also the realization that if we are really to move the needle on the SDGs, we have to put the private sector in the driver's seat. And this is what we are trying to do at Unido through programs like ScaleX. That's obviously not the only program. There are quite a number of other topic-specific or theme-specific programs of similar nature. But what we are trying to do in our corner, if you like, is to create a topic-agnostic program that allows us not only to scout innovative solutions, but then also offer them support through test bedding, meaning we help them soft land in countries that may demand such solutions. And we also work on the upstream of policy making to facilitate scaling of such solutions. So it's an integrated program that we deliver together with partners, both public and private. And that we are obviously very eager to mainstream into our operations going forward. Now, to do that, obviously, we need a qualified team, and we'll be speaking later about the type of positions that we are looking to recruit for the program. We have had, at the beginning of this year, an early recruitment drive for this particular program, but we also intend, obviously, to continue looking into positions related to this program also as we grow and scale it, right? So I'll stop maybe here. If you have any questions, obviously, we can pick them up later during the Q&A section. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Adnan, for your insightful background and also letting us know about ScaleX. Thank you. Now we move to the next speaker. Wernhard, would you introduce yourself, please?
Happy to, and thank you very much, Aster, for the opportunity to share a bit about my background as well, and then my learnings that I've had throughout my career, and now most recently joining Unido. So again, hello to everyone. My name is Wernhard. I am from Austria. I'm a digital transformation strategy expert, working closely with Jason, Adnan, and Vanja, who will be introducing herself in a moment, and the larger team. We're roughly, 60, 70 people right now at the division. And my background, I've joined quite recently the organization, so I'm around a year and a half now with Unido. And what I'm doing here, and I'll make that tangible and clear at an example of a concrete initiative that I'm driving that is a similar format to what Adnan just mentioned earlier. So it also addresses collaborating closely with the private sector, slight differences in the program modalities that I'll get to in a moment, but it's fundamentally about leveraging the power of the technology industry for social impact. And that is also, if you will, a bit of the common theme and the red thread, so to say, that connects my both academic and professional stations prior and currently at the United Nations. I come academically from a background having initially been trained as a business administrator, so at the local university here in Vienna. I got my degree in business economics. Then doing a couple of internships, worked with a number of startups in the sales and marketing area, and then joined Cisco, a major technology firm on their domain on data analytics and artificial intelligence, particularly in the public healthcare sector. After which I founded my first startup in that similar domain. So it was still about data analytics, data exchange, and insights for medical professionals and patients. In parallel to which I completed my master's degree at the University of Cambridge in the UK on social innovation. So again, always about digital innovation, digital transformation for social impact. And afterwards, I got an opportunity, and that was based on my insight that if I want to drive significant social change and transformation through digital technologies, startups play a very important role. But it's always context and system dependent what you're in, right? And if what you're trying to address is the public healthcare system, as a startup, you have a relatively narrow angle to contribute and to drive transformation. So then I picked up an opportunity to transition over to a consulting firm, McKinsey & Company, where I had an opportunity to work alongside those larger institutional forces, if you will. So that's ministries of health, that's healthcare providers, that's healthcare payers, insurances, to design together with them their digital transformation, digital innovation, and data strategies. And after that, I got the opportunity to take over yet another startup that I led for 2 years in the domain of female health and fertility. There we had a hardware software combined product. Not going to go into the details of that, but that after 2 years of this, I joined the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Unido, Jason and his team, to again continue driving that thread. And just picking up on my quote here, without making it overly specific on AI here, it's really also what motivated me to join the United Nations, which is it's not really about innovation. It's not per se about, for me personally, it's not about technological progress. I'm not by nature driven by the science of that. I'm by nature and as an individual driven by the impact that can have on global societies, on people, on communities. And that's what we really are all about here at Unido and at this division, because we're trying to bring those two worlds together. And this is one of those formats how we are endeavoring to do that. We call it the Lighthouse Solution Launchpads. Again, what does it try to do? Picking up on what my colleague Adnan said earlier, trying to put the private sector in the driver's seat, especially recognizing that in the domain of digital and AI, there is such a rapid pace of development. There is such knowledge and insight and expertise is such rapidly transforming and progressing that we at the United Nations would simply struggle to be a competent advisor and partner on our own towards our governments and towards our member states. So we bring them in the boat, we identify, explore the solutions that they have that speak to our mandate, speak to those 3 priorities that also Esther shared earlier: ending hunger, sustainable supply chains, clean energy, and climate action. Then we match those solutions. What you see number 2 here, we match supply with demand, the solutions with the pain points that our member states are communicating to us, translating then that into what we call pilots, right? So this is very much of an agile methodology, short time horizons. We're talking about weeks and months. Prepare a pilot, deploy the pilot, learn from that. And then once we've deployed that pilot with specific technologies, and I'm happy to go a bit into the details maybe at the later point in that conversation now, then scale it out across other geographies. Because what we want to recognize is those technology partners, some of which Jason has mentioned, whether that's Google, Huawei, Siemens, Festo, NVIDIA, they have solutions for a large number of our member states that can be beneficial for them. So we deploy them, test them out, learn them, and then replicate going from there. And that's where I would conclude for now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Wernhard, for your diverse background and exciting experience. Now we move to the next speaker.
Thank you, colleagues, and also happy to see that we have a number of people today on the webinar. I'm Vanja, and I am a communication and partnership expert in Unido in the division of AI, digital and innovation, as mentioned before. And before I say more about what I'm currently working on, I will give you a brief introduction on my career journey that is not that extensive as it is for my colleagues, but it is pretty much exciting, especially if you are in the field of communication and also in the field of building purposeful partnerships. So yeah, let me start with introducing my background and studies. I'm a journalist. I studied political sciences in Belgrade, in Serbia. So yeah, I spent my years writing also for Vice News. So that was really exciting time where I had the pleasure to be on ground and also to speak to a lot of people, to meet a lot of people on the ground in Serbia. Which also led me to the future of my work. And therefore, this is how I also met some great people and joined afterwards ISEC, the biggest youth-led global organization, where I spent the most of my career. I spent 5 years, 5.5 years in ISEC, and I've been in different positions really, and this is where my passion for driving sustainable development goals started, but specifically in the domain of youth. So you will hear me, I hope now and in the future, speaking a lot about the youth impact and what we as youth can actually do and drive on the ground. So there is where I dedicated my years to youth leadership. I led over 12 teams in Serbia and then later on in Austria as well. So I was responsible also for different kind of projects connected to SDGs for the whole Serbia. And then basically I took opportunity that ISEC offered, which is to go on international exchange, to go abroad, to, let's say, start my career in a different setup in an international environment. And I chose to come in Vienna, where I was responsible for international cooperation with startups and also corporate sector. I decided it's not enough. I need to challenge myself further. So I applied to lead the organization, and I was for 1 year president of ISEC in Austria and responsible for creating a vision on how do we drive a SDG agenda with youth in Austria in different cities. And this is definitely the experience where I enjoyed the most and where I had the opportunity to meet my colleagues from my current colleagues from Unido, and where we joined our forces to organize a Youth Speak Forum, where we brought over 200 plus people to really discuss about what is the role of innovation, what is the role of emerging technologies, and how we can actually hear youth opinion, the one that is actually raised by with technology and that is used to using the one. And when I decided that it's time to end my term in ISEC and to continue my career, and therefore I was really passionate to join this division and to support, to organize in the future meaningful touchpoints events and also support different kind of partnerships and programs. So there is where I'm currently and almost for a year in Unido. And I love to say I'm focused now on trying to have a unified messaging and to have a meaningful communication strategy for the division that also include our presence on different types of events, small or large scale events. One of the examples is that I'm currently working on the event for UNGA that will take place in September, and also for our general conference, where actually we will have a Youth Speak forum there, or Youth dedicated day. So that is about my current role, and also in the future I will be supporting our work around innovation, and I believe that there will be a lot of opportunities for young people to bring their ideas to the table and to see how can we actually showcase what young innovators have to offer for SDGs. So yeah, that's about me. And I think that with this I can conclude and say I will be your moderator for today. So I will be driving discussion with my colleagues. And Esther, if you want to conclude before we turn into the section with question and continue.
Yes, thank you so much, Vanja, for your also interesting background. Now we are going to change the course of our conversation to talk more about Unido. My colleague Vanja, who just presented herself, Vanja Maric, will have a few questions for all our speakers on a variety of themes. Vanja, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther. And I'm really happy to start this discussion. As Esther mentioned, we will start and open with some of the exciting projects we are currently working on to support Unido's mandate that Esther kindly explained. So if we can move to the next slide, I would like to open with question and ask Jason if you can tell us about current exciting projects that you are running in Unido, and how do you see that projects we are running in this division align with overall organization's mandate?
No, thank you very much, Vanja, and thank you, Adnan, Wernhard as well for your comments and your presentation earlier. I really wouldn't know where to start, so let me try, because this is a topic that is so exciting right now. It is so relevant to what's going on in the world and how we have been fortunate to have the opportunity to see how we can support our countries, our member states, with AI, innovation, and digital. So I'll just touch on one or two. One of the areas that's really exciting me and the team right now is how can we present to our member states integrated programs in the space of AI, innovation, and digital. So what do I mean by that? So, for example, we are creating a sense of excellence which is infused with AI, innovation, and digital in Ethiopia. It's funded by the Chinese government, which is really about how can we bring the latest technology to Ethiopia to help them in a couple of specific industrial sectors. One is leather. Right. So when you look at, and if you look at some of the numbers, Ethiopia is a country, and Esther before, she knows more than I. She's from there. Is a country that's doubled in size in the last 10 years. So it's around 120 million. It's got around 60 million cattle. So leather and livestock is something that's fundamental as an industrial sector. However, when you're looking to produce from leather, shoes, etc., around 20-30% of that gets lost in production. So traditionally, you will be looking at this problem like, what do we do in terms of minimizing the production of, minimizing waste in the production of leather, etc. And probably this will be primarily something that one would look to solve in a more manual base. Here, what we are now doing is excitingly is we're going to develop an algorithm, an AI algorithm that can identify what are the root causes that can minimize the waste in leather production. This is really exciting, has real impact, and this is a critical sector within the Ethiopia ecosystem. Wernhard mentioned something before on the Lighthouse solutions. There are 3 billion people drinking cups of coffee. How can we infuse the value chain of coffee with AI, innovation, and digital, whether that be through geospatial technology, bringing more traceability through capturing of the data, giving more analytics through AI-driven data decision-making. So those are just a couple of examples. The other thing as well that I really like what is quite unique to Unido as a specialized agency is, we can engage with the private sector. We can really work hand in hand. So I tell you, I go home and I tell my kids, I was talking to NVIDIA today. I'm talking about how we can collect, so much data that can really help us pinpoint what is the root cause, what it is that we are trying to solve. I go home and talk about how I'm working with Google, with Microsoft. I went to see Huawei. They're showing me how, they brought into Africa in Zambia a digital village so that people are less fearful about how AI innovation and digital can be disruptive in their village, but actually can be transformative. So these are just a couple of things. It's such an exciting topic at the moment and an area in the portfolio. As I mentioned, I'm 3 months into this current role. So we're only now starting to realize the vision and the strategy that we have through this transformation framework. But it really, really is an exciting time. So Vanja, I just give a couple. I know you know I could probably talk all day about this. It's something that I'm absolutely passionate about. All I can say is I'm thankful that I'm given the opportunity to work in a job and a role that is so exciting. So yeah.
Great, Jason. Thank you. And thank you for highlighting the power of partnership and the role of partnership that we actually try to drive from Unido. Speaking about partnership and connected to previous question, Adnan, I want to ask you, can you tell us about the exciting projects that you are running? We were talking about some bigger industry partners, but maybe some use case that you had with startups or something that you did in the past or that you are planning to do in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Vanja. Similar to Jason, I also try to talk to my kids about the work I do, but they label me as boring and don't want to hear about it. So I guess that's not obviously what is happening. It's, I guess, just them being teenagers. So some exciting work we are doing at the moment. Well, I mean, I introduced briefly ScaleX as a program. We are developing as we speak a number of other programmatic initiatives that focus on capacity building in government in particular. If you think about, frontier technologies, we are talking about these days and experiencing them in our work. This is also, a solid basis for us to start thinking about how do we capacitate the public service or the public sector to have to be better prepared for what is coming, to have the right type of skills and capabilities that allow them to obviously then craft better policies and support the industrial sectors. But I will not dig deeper into that. I will maybe just also, in the interest of time, be very brief in terms of what excites me right now is the project that Jason and I are working on, and this is largely around creating a thought leadership strategy for the division and Unido, obviously. And here the focus is really to drag the good work that we are doing on the ground into, or give it, let's say, a policy shaping voice, if you like. So Unido has deep technical expertise. You heard from Jason already some of the examples, be it in Ethiopia or elsewhere, where we do very much hands-on work and in the process deliver or develop and deliver a lot of good stuff. But a lot of it actually is hidden in technical reports or project documents. And so the challenge for us really is to extract that and convert it into formats that are also appealing to the broader masses, if you like, and that can also then be used really to shape policy discourse, discussion, and then policy making ultimately. So what we are doing in very concrete terms is we are creating a thought leadership creation service. The focus here really is on driving discussions and insights, including learning, into the topics that we are mandated to conduct. To support. And so here in particular, we are creating a thought leadership platform where we are tying in universities, private sector, public sector, to jointly define areas where they need more knowledge that can be then converted into technical assistance services. And so for that, we will be also looking to establish a dedicated team within the division. And so one of the initial tasks will be to launch a recruitment campaign towards very specific positions, which I think will be also mentioned in some of the slides to come. So that's, I would say, one of the initiatives that excites me, has obviously also strong links to my past work here at Unido and beyond. And I find this extremely interesting to find new ways how to deliver, technical, oftentimes complex content to wider audiences and make them understand why it matters what we do.
Great, Adnan. Thank you. And speaking about the policy and also the global framework, Jason mentioned the Global Digital Compact that we have been working on and are actively shaping as one of the UN agencies. Wernhard, can you tell me more about this exciting project? How are you supporting driving the Global Digital Compact, and how is this aligned with overall mandate?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks, Vanja. So the Global Digital Compact, let's take a step back. What is it and what does it try to do? If you think about the work that we do at Unido, but also at the UN as a larger system, right? Sustainable development. We focus on industrial, economic sustainable development, but the UN as a whole, one of its mandates, and there are others towards human rights and peacekeeping and others, but this domain of sustainable development is of course quite broad. And now if you think about living in the digital and AI age, what does that mean? And how can you give that a bit of like a frame? How can you give that a bit of a direction that's clearly understood by everyone and also clearly supported by everyone? And that is where last year, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, the major event the United Nations, so to say, has on an annual basis, the Pact for the Future was endorsed. And part of that was the Global Digital Compact. Now, you can imagine it's actually relatively compact. It's like 50, 60 pages as a document. But it was a 2 years negotiation by all of the UN member states, so 193 member states negotiating long, hard back and forth about what it should contain. And I'll just give you a bit of a snippet, but it's the key insights there. There is 5 concrete objectives that the Global Digital Compact tries to achieve. And we as Unido are co-leading the implementation of one of them. And so those 5 objectives are, number 1, closing the digital divides. Right, so there is obviously a digital divide between the global north, more industrialized countries, and developing countries, least developed countries, regarding their ability to leverage, adopt, and also benefit from these tools. There are subdivides, whether it's a gender divide, whether it's an age divide. So closing those divides is one of the key objectives. Objective number 2 is expanding the inclusion of a global digital inclusive economy, right? So economic growth driven by digital tools, digital innovation, digital means, and that is the one that Unido is co-leading. I can speak to that in a moment a bit more. The third one is then fostering an inclusive, open, and safe digital space that also respects human rights. The fourth is about equitable, interoperable data governance. And the fifth one is about AI governance, right? How do we want to govern as a global community, if you will, artificial intelligence? And those are the 5 key objectives addressed by that. The entire, not just the UN system, but also our partners, our member states, our industry partners, so to say, are finding ways of how we can implement that, how we can achieve that. And our efforts are also towards Objective 5. So we also address AI governance, AI adoption. It's part of what we do also within this division. But primarily we drive towards the inclusive digital economy beneficial for all. And that is something we lead with one of our sister UN agencies, UN Trade and Development. There's a working group of 14 UN agencies. So you can imagine relatively broad, relatively complex, bureaucratic to a certain degree. But also here we try to be agile, right? We try to have a nimble, slim, so to say, agreement, a work plan, a clear work plan. How do we work together to drive to make that come true? And that's alongst a couple of very concrete tracks. Some are actually picking up and leveraging some of these methods that we've mentioned already earlier, right? Which is, and that's just one key element that I'll leave you with, which is understand what's already working out well out there and how that can be replicated, how that can be scaled, how can we learn from that, and together as a whole system drive towards realizing an implementation of that.
Thank you, Wernhard, for the explanation of also global frameworks that Unido is co-leading. And if you're interested, you can also visit online. Global Digital Compact is available online, so you can read more about it. But now we will switch to the section of skills and career development. I know that a lot of you are thinking, what are the skills that are needed? What are the skills that I can gain while working in this division? And what are those opportunities out there for me? So I would start with the question for Adnan. What new skills are you currently building as part of the team in Diverse Project? And maybe going back, because you're very long in organization, what is the added value of Unido in your career journey? What is the thing that is bringing, where Unido is actually supporting your career journey or supported the path?
Sure, yeah. If you don't mind moving to the next slide, I think there are some positions that, okay, maybe not, there you go. So I can maybe just take that as a quick reference point for the type of new skills and positions we are looking to recruit. There are oftentimes in our context program specific. So I go back to the Open Innovation program that I briefly introduced. Here in particular, we are looking for candidates who are having let's say a good balance of skills on the one hand between or having acquired them in the private sector, so ideally working with incubators or accelerators, or generally speaking innovation ecosystem players, and being able to pair that with obviously social impact objectives or roles. So here in particular we are looking for experts who have experience in scaling innovation, who have experience in building partnerships between, let's say, startups and corporates, but also startups and governments. And we're also looking for experts in more specific innovation areas, for instance, like design thinking, or more methodological experts, let's say, who can structure and guide innovation journeys, right? So from idea all the way up to, scaling solutions. For the thought leadership program that I briefly introduced, we are looking for, again, a diverse set of skills and expertise. Here in particular, we are looking for seasoned researchers who are coming out of this space of digital AI innovation. But we are also at the same time looking for good storytellers and narrators, right? So here in particular, we are looking for people who have experience with, editing, who have experience with publishing and communications, of course, because these two things go hand in hand. So I would say from my side, I'm sure other colleagues can contribute here, but that would be the core set of skills that we are currently looking for.
Great, Adnan. With this, I would like to also ask Jason, what are some of the other opportunities beyond the ScaleX innovation program that our division can offer and present?
Before we do that, Vanja, maybe just to be a little provocative, I'd like to throw the question back to you and Wernhard as two of the newest members of the team that I was fortunate enough to recruit in the last 12 months. So maybe you tell us a little bit, Vanja and Wernhard, what do you think are the essential skills that we require right now? I will then go on and I will expand on that, and then I will perhaps try and make a little bit of sense for people outside on what these roles are, because some of the titles are a little technical. Industrial Development Officer. I'll explain what that means in a bit more detail. So Vanja, I'll leave it to you or Wernhard. Who wants to go first?
Oh my God, ladies first here, huh? Okay, great. I'll take this one. Okay, if I can briefly share, I think that some of the essential skills that everyone should have, or at least gain in Unido, are how to communicate with different, with different types of stakeholders. So for me, that was one of the most beneficial things that I gained. So I can adapt if we talk with the industry, if we talk about the government representatives, if we talk with startups. So basically, you're in the multi-international environment and multi-stakeholder environment. So for me, the key skill is actually to understand and to put yourself in the shoes of those stakeholders, because yes, we are experts, but at the end of the day, we are serving our beneficiaries, and everything we do is for them. So I think that is one of the essential skills. Other thing is, like, I would say for our division, you need to have a bit of entrepreneurial spirit. I don't think that I mean, a lot of you probably perceive UN as a maybe sometimes a rigid system, but I would say it's completely opposite, because I think that if you have entrepreneurial spirit, then you can thrive in this system. And if you have the passion actually to propose ideas, to contribute, then this is some of the essential things. And also working with others, because this system is complex, and if you don't communicate with others, if you don't learn how to synergize with others, then it will be very, very difficult really to navigate through this complex system. So I try to highlight some of the, let's say, soft skills part, but I think also Wernhard can highlight some skills that you need to, or you gained in your everyday work.
Thanks, Vanja.
Yeah, happy to. And I'll pick up one thing that you mentioned, expand a bit on that, and then one more thing I'm going to mention. One, and that's what I also wanted to say. It's this nature of being entrepreneurial, and especially of being agile and adaptive, right? So it's always more helpful, and I think that applies across the various types of organizations that I've been part of, but maybe here more than in others even, because it is a fairly large bureaucracy, which means there are clear rules that you sort of say follow, that you're embedded in, but at the same time you're not being expected to be primarily a rule follower and an executor of individual tasks, but you are expected to own and drive forward initiatives and projects. Right, so it's about those making steps in an agile, quick manner, adjusting, learning, and then sort of say iterating further. Right, so that is, I think, a key skill to not be too afraid, to not hold back, to actually put something out there. It's always better to have a draft of something, to have a suggestion of something, put it on paper, then it can be iterated, than rather to just sort of say wait and be told how to approach something. So that just to pick up on the thing you've just mentioned, Vanja. And one more thing I would want to share at this point, and then I'll hand over to Jason for a more holistic, comprehensive perspective maybe, is that there is an absolute superpower that all of us have at our disposal. We highly encourage everyone to actually start using increasingly, and that's prompt engineering, right? That is leveraging artificial intelligence actually in your daily work. Depending on what you do, I would argue it can make you 2 to 3 times, or maybe 5 times more productive and effective at what you're doing. And that's just also something that whether you're sort of say recently graduating, so like of the joining the workforce right now, that I think should be an absolute core superpower of yours. But also if you're a bit further along in the journey, it affects everyone, everything, especially what we do in this division, because we're also working with member states on leveraging those capabilities and upskilling in these domains, but also in your everyday work. So yeah, just wanted to sort of say give a call out to that. And Jason, back over to you.
No, thank you, Wernhard and Vanja, because I think it's important for people online that they hear about, what are those core skills that you guys brought or joined us recently. Okay, just a few things from my side then. First of all, I think I would just take a step back, and myself as somebody who's leading the division, and the expectation not only of myself but that of the team members. So without technical details, I'm a strong believer that in any team and any division that's thriving going forward, that there is a clear need that we build trust between ourselves, trust with our team members, and trust within the organization and our external partners. That is fundamental in terms of one of the values that we need and competencies. Also, collaboration. It's absolutely critical right now. You cannot spearhead ahead when you're looking at what's going on in AI, digital, and all of those various solutions that are coming out, that we must be collaborative again within us as a team and also within the organization. But most importantly, lines are getting blurred between what we do, Unido, and what we do with our partners, you know. So collaboration is something that I see key. There are three things also that I think is quite fundamental in this approach that, and some of you probably are already practicing this in your existing work. One has to be agile. You know, we're in an environment now where it is okay to make the odd mistake, you know, and learn from it, loop back, get it better, you know, and from that iterative process of doing things, we will get there, you know, but importantly, we need to clearly do that at speed. So as Wernhard mentioned, and Vanja, we are in a slightly bureaucratic world within the UN, but we are here as a division to try and disrupt that. And by disrupting it, we need to be more agile. And that leads me to two other key points. It's fundamental that we are adaptable. We have to be with what is going on now at the speed and pace of which things are changing. When I think back 2 years ago to ChatGPT and what Wernhard just mentioned in my own job, me as leading a division, Copilot is absolutely essential for me in everything that I do. So being adaptable and always keep your eye on what is the solution. What is it that I'm trying to achieve? What is it that I want to get done? What do I want to solve? So I think those are some core things. Just very briefly, in terms of very specific, more technical things that's going on, I think in the world now of AI innovation digital, strategic foresight and innovation is fundamental. You know, knowing how to use AI and to learn from it and ensure that you have this critical thinking is an essential skill that we will be looking for going forward. You know, AI, IoT, Industry 4.0, how can we deploy them? Yeah. Technical fluency in terms of emerging technologies, being ahead of the game, understanding what's out there. One thing that you've heard consistently that's coming out, building partnerships, building up an ecosystem, but ultimately we've still got to implement, and we've got to implement, as I mentioned, in a much more agile and solution orientated approach. So those are some of the key skills that I would look. We've got vacancies out there now. Let me just highlight a few key ones. As Adnan mentioned, on the open innovation, we need experts in the area of innovation and also on the thought leadership. But also we need AI experts, AI strategic experts, AI experts that can implement solutions. Same in digital, knowing what's going on out there in terms of thought leadership, all the way down to being able to specifically know how we can apply it. Those are the areas that we're looking at. We're looking at from the top all the way, well, top, middle management, so development officers, AI and digital transformation experts. How can we then, partnership experts? How can we have people that can come in the team and make sure that our projects go smoothly? Administrators. How can we have team assistants that can think slightly differently, more agile, more at speed in terms of how they support the division? So a whole set of them. The ones that are going to be going out, I can say today, which will be immediately available, are going to be in the space of the AI and digital transformation. Those are things that our good friends in HR are going to help us post in the next few days. So keep your eye out. Follow us on LinkedIn. Myself, Adnan, Wernhard, Vanja, and HR. We're going to be promoting these opportunities as we speak. So this webinar will hopefully give you something very specific and tangible that you can apply for.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanja.
Jason, for also highlighting those crucial skills and the opportunities that you have. And as Jason mentioned, we will be also sharing on our profiles, but you can see on all Unido channels. And maybe adding briefly to project or team assistant positions, you do not need to be always an AI expert to be in this division. So you can also support the project management work, communication, finance, and so on. So that is just a small addition to everything that was mentioned. And I want to ask now my colleagues one question, very open. There is, I love to say, there is one Instagram trend where you ask people that are longer in organization, what would they do differently? So I specifically want to ask Adnan and Jason, is there anything in terms of your career that you would have done differently? And what would you say someone that is maybe now young or middle age, what are those key advices and why? Maybe we can start with Adnan.
Thank you, Vanja. Advice. Okay, so I would say from my experience, I think it's important to focus on ownership, especially in systems like the one we operate in. I think people coming in are oftentimes intimidated by having to join a well-oiled machinery and follow instructions or follow the path as it has been done always. And I've done the same thing when entering the organization for the initial few years, of course. I think that's an important part of the journey on the one hand, because of course you want to understand how the machinery works. But at the same time, I feel as well that taking ownership early on in your career is key. And by ownership, I really mean not waiting to be told what to do, but actually take initiative and be entrepreneurial. And I think this is also what you, Vanja, alluded to in an earlier statement, right? So I think I would have encouraged myself also to ask better questions. And by that, I don't mean to my superiors, but actually to myself, right? So things that, questions like what energizes me, for instance, or where do I want to grow and contribute, etc. So asking these questions early on is super important, I find, to set yourself on a path where you really then utilize your skills to the best extent possible, while obviously also aligning them to the organizational objectives. And then maybe last but not least, I think that's oftentimes also overlooked in systems like ours, is that there needs to be more focus on visibility and advocacy, right? Things that you do in your work, you also need to find strategies on how to actually promote that. And here I don't obviously mean self-promotion, but more in a way the work, the ownership that you have taken towards creating something and how to put it out there. Because to move the needle on the SDGs, we can develop great programs and initiatives in our respective offices and small teams, but to move that forward, you really need to create partnerships, alliances, etc. early on. And nowadays, especially in the time of social media platforms, etc., the best way to go about creating such alliances is by being visible and advocate for things that you believe in or that you are doing well. And maybe last but not least, I think this applies even today still, is to be able to say a firm no more often, right? I mean, you come across so many interesting initiatives and so many interesting requests that people have the tendency to say quickly yes to it. But I think the key is actually to say very often no, and have that focus on a selected few things that are really, say, core to what you do and what you would like to contribute. I'll maybe stop here with my advice session.
Thank you. I think we will definitely take notes on this one. Jason, please, do you have anything from your perspective?
No, we'll be very quick because I'm conscious that we've got 15 minutes, and I think I'd love the opportunity to take on some questions. I'm sure the rest. So I'll keep it simple. I've had a career in the United Nations now over 20 years. I've been very, very lucky that I've worked in so many different areas, and it's been mainly my choice. So I've worked in finance, IT, business transformation, digital transformation, communications, running back office operations, now working within the mission-based approach, supporting our member states. I'll have one regret. I didn't do what I'm doing now sooner, because when I joined over 20 years ago, I came to the UN from the private sector as a management consultant to make a difference. Back then, we felt difference meant internal operations, process optimization, all of that stuff. Actually, what you do in the UN, and anybody I would advise coming in here, is quickly get into an area where you can make a clear, concrete impact. That's what motivates me. That's what makes me get up in the morning. That's what makes me tired when I go home in the evening. And my last point, which I hope I will not leave this organization with a regret, I would like the opportunity to get out there and actually work in the field and directly support our member states. So that's what I would say to anybody who's looking to come in here. Think about what you want to do in terms of having an impact, and focus your skills towards that, whether that be here or out there. We're operating in 120 countries. I have projects in around 30 countries alone. So yeah, that's what I would strongly encourage anybody. What I would have done and will do differently. Yeah, going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Never to.
Vanja, may I just for the sake of time, we
Sure.
can briefly go to application tips, and then we will have a few minutes to take one or two questions from the audience.
Sure.
We are
Let's then
approaching-
conclude with application tips. Maybe we can take two questions in one and also ask Jason and Adnan as hiring managers, what is the thing that gets your attention during the interviews? So what do you typically look for while you are selecting the candidates? We spoke about those positions, but what will be important thing for you so everyone here that is listening can take note on that one?
Shall I go first?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Very quickly. Few things that instantly come to my mind. So one is really clarity of thought, right? That's absolutely key. So the question here is, can you as a candidate explain complex ideas simply? That's absolutely key for our work. The other thing, proof of action in particular, concrete examples. Don't be too vague around things, or don't beat around the bush. So just provide concrete examples. And always, I would say, signal what drives you, So that means also bring forward side projects or self-taught skills that you feel really show that aspect of you. Another component that I think it's extremely important is adaptability in our context and having a team sense, because it's a team sport, and then I think if you can demonstrate that collaborative mindset that you have, then you're on a good track. And maybe last but not least, and this is certainly something I always appreciated, is curiosity over perfection. I think that's absolutely key to have this learning mindset and be open to new things, and don't rehearse answers. I think that's also extremely important, because nowadays you have people peeking on cheat sheets, and I think that never comes across as a confident candidate. So stick to that piece of advice, maybe at the end in particular.
Okay, thank you, Adnan. Jason, you wanted to add something to it to conclude?
No, I can add it. I can add it to this one here when you talk about attention during interviews, etc. I mentioned already some of the core things that I was looking for before in trust, communication, collaboration, agile, adaptively, solution orientated. Adnan also underlined some of those just now. I think and I just keep it to very simple language. What I always like and I look in people, and what gets my attention is people who get stuff done, who get things done, who actually achieve things. And as it's not necessarily, like Adnan pointed out, it's not about the perfection, but you achieve, you try, you're intuitive, you show initiative, you come forward with good ideas, good suggestions, because an idea can turn out into something that's really concrete. That's really what gets my attention. When someone is on the front foot, so to speak, in the way that they are thinking and putting forward proposals and ideas.
Great. Would definitely agree to it. And to conclude, Esther, before we go to the Q&A section, we hope that we really gave you inspiration, but also clarity on what we are doing, and clarity on what you can expect from Unido's future position, and how you can prepare yourself the best for interviews. Of course, even though here is the limited time for Q&A, we remain also free in the future for some other question. And from my side also, good luck. Would agree with colleague advices, and let's move to Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Vanya, and thanks everyone for a very enlightening conversation. Please note that we are already over time, but we can take probably one question, which I think it's really very common for many of our participants. So let me just go to that question. Maybe I will read it. You can see it on the chats if you, I think. Someone is asking, is it necessary to have a degree on computer science? I have a postgraduate degree in AI and 2+ years working with machine learning and AI across several domains. I think it's in the area of AI and digitalization, if computer science degree is necessary. That's the question.
No, it's not. I don't have one. I mean, no, it's not about that. I think it's, of course, it's useful if one has a good understanding of what's going on. But you're hearing from all of us here in this presentation today. I don't have a background in computer science, but I'm leading it. But I've got a background in transformation. So it's more about the skills that you have as opposed to whether it's that or not. So if I was just, I'm just looking. 1 second. Here. So, for example, sorry, apologies. I have the answer right in front of me. So, for example, we're looking at somebody who may have IT, business development, innovation, digitalization. They can also have that in terms of organizational change, management. It's really not about that. So, yeah, don't worry.
Okay, perfect. Probably one more question. This is also relevant to HR practices. Is master's degree a requirement? Can individuals that have pursued other capacity building paths like short courses, boot camps, apply for any of the roles?
Is that an HR question or for me? Because I can give an opinion on that.
Yes, maybe probably I can answer the practice currently. For any professional or expert level work, Unido requires relevant advanced university degree. So this is currently what we have, but we are working on a policy. Probably there will be some flexibility with additional experiences with first level university degree. But at the moment, for any expert or professional level work, relevant advanced university degree is required.
Esther, what I'm also doing, if I'm in the Q&A, I notice a number of questions have been posted, so I'm going ahead and responding directly to the individuals.
Yes, because of the time, I just picked some common questions, which will be common for many of the participants. I think now I can just ask Gustavo to take over.
I hope you can all see you. Thank you very much, everyone. I know that we do have a lot of questions that went unanswered. I would highly recommend that you check unido.org and visit the sections that are relevant to AI, innovation, and digitalization. There will be a lot more information coming in. Do not forget to follow Esther and Hina, who are the dedicated recruiters for this particular area of expertise within Unido, and you're going to be finding them releasing a lot of vacancies throughout the year. Again, I want to say thank you to Esther and to all of our speakers, and thanking all of you across the globe for joining us today. Have a great day, and you may be watching this online at a later time, since the recording will be available for everyone, and it will be placed in the YouTube channel and our HR playlist. So thanks, have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you, Gustavo. Much appreciated.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Nice also to meet you, some of you.
Okay, it's done.